the antis that are all like bleh, garments,
Get a
right?
hobby.
Hip hip hooray. I hope you get the panty garments. I could wear whatever underwear I want, and I choose none.
I want a pair of them.
I'm so glad I could be here for you, honey. Kind of like I do with my religion and my faith. I choose none.
Hey, welcome to All Those Opposed, where we discuss an array of topics, all of which will roll back around some way or somehow to Mormonism. Yep, you heard me right. The LDS religion, the soup I was steeped, simmered, and eventually sizzled right out of. This ADHD-led adventure is sure to be delivered with plenty of self-deprecating humor, snark, and sarcasm as I discuss whatever the hell it is I feel like talking about today. We just don't take ourselves all that seriously around here. We did enough of that in religion.
Guys, it has been, but when she told me garments were never about modesty. Hey babe, I don't think they know what you're talking about. Fill them in a little bit. Give them a little context. It's General Conference weekend coming up it's a week and a half away. So I'm giving myself grace that this is just a really hard time of year for me. And it's really tender and it's really close. And then this whole modesty garment bullshit. I'm just at another breaking point. I might lose my mind, and you can watch me. There's something in me that broke, and it broke so big time and so bad. The ideas I've had are so bad, so not what I've ever considered doing before. You know you're not alone, right? Yeah, Haley Rolfe, the girls' camp girly. She knows how it feels, honey.
So the Mormon Church just released the new tank top garments, and I've been feeling so tender and also riled up about it. And I think I figured out the biggest reason why. Seeing active Mormon women so excited about this change and celebrating it so much just goes to show how much they wanted this in the first place.
Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus, for the opportunity to potentially find a man, because now my garments actually show a little bit of cleavage.
And how repressed their desire was to have a little more autonomy over what they wear all along.
Always go to Target around 10:30 at night because I'm probably not going to be wearing my garments, and I don't want to run into somebody who's going to like low-key judge me. No, does anybody else feel like a little bit judged?
When I was Mormon and wearing garments, I did this mind game where I either convinced myself that I genuinely didn't care about having to wear a cap sleeve and spandex shorts, which is what garments are, under my clothing at all times and also at night.
So the antis that are all like bleh, garments,
Get a
right?
hobby. Get a new
Exactly.
job.
Yeah. I convinced myself that it was wrong to care, that it was prideful and vain, or I would tell myself, yeah, this sucks and this is a sacrifice, but it's actually a really noble thing to do, to suffer in the name of God or religion.
I feel like I can talk about the garments because I'm a member of this church and I'm actively going through this, right? If you've left our church, you don't get to talk about it.
It's really strange to see these women celebrating something that they just should have been allowed to do all along. On top of that, many women, my age especially, were shamed a lot for what we wore. If we wore tank tops like this, if we wore thicker tank tops, we were shamed. We were kicked out of dances, out of EFY. We were told to go home, dress differently, because we were told that that was immodest and that wasn't like garment appropriate clothing. We wore our garments anyway. We were devoted, we were dedicated. They can't get upset when ex-Mormons who are now seeing all these changes, they are grieving this loss of their identity, their history, and their personal story. What was the point?
I'm kind of like, you know what? Why would I even bother to make sense of what it is that I believed? Baby girl, honey britches. No one ever asked you to. You know that? You're trying to make sense out of nonsense. This is totally on you. And now have come to find it isn't true. If they're just going to say, well, it doesn't matter anyway. And what matters is what President Nelson said. And what matters is this, and this. And so you are totally disregarded and you are just wrong. You're dumb. You're stupid. You missed it. Your mom taught you wrong. Your neighbors taught you wrong. Your bishop was wrong. Your people were wrong. Everybody's wrong. I can't go one more second without a voice about these shenanigans that are making me bonkers crazy. Because I know in the comments in my videos that you guys are going crazy too. Because you're cray right now. Her whole point is that all of her life, she has worn the garment of the holy priesthood. And now that religion, they're taking it back. They told her whole life she needed to cover her shoulder, or it was like corn. Yeah, I believe she turned into corn for the man.
And young women, please understand that if you dress immodestly, You are magnifying this problem by becoming pornography to some of the men who see you.
Now, it's like, oopsie, everybody, just kidding. We messed up. Boop, boop. As you can understand, she's very upset. And then on top of that, a good friend of hers, we're going to call her Becky. She basically, I believe it's called gaslighting. She lit my girl up with some of her comments. And that's what she's talking about. And that's why she's going a little bit crazy right now. So hang tight. It's going to get better.
I'm not going to be quiet, and I'm not going to sit down, and I'm not going to be made to feel like I got it wrong so I can't have a voice. Because it was my reality. It has been my life. I have 3 daughters. They are all saying the same thing. My daughter just today was saying, Mom, it's not like, it's been 6 years now, and I still, every time I put on a tank top, it still crosses my mind how I used to couldn't, or I wouldn't, or I shouldn't. And I know you'll say, well, it's because you taught them and you were wrong. And so, of course, they're wrong because you led them astray by following the leadership of the church and doing what they had asked you to do so diligently. Yeah, that's what's up. But I'm glad there's other folks that feel the same as me that have been able to put a voice to it a lot better than I can, and a lot more clearly and concisely. And they just have this ability to use their executive functioning, which is not online for me most of the time.
She's lost the ability to use her prefrontal cortex. It's never actually been online. And so I'm the version of her, fully constructed and full bore ahead.
There was a video that I watched yesterday. I need to know her name. I'm really bad at names. Okay, guys, just forgive me.
We need to introduce Mackenzie Lance. Go follow her. She's amazing. She's hilarious. I love her. And she was ahead of the game.
I need to share some of her stuff because it's so good. But she has just a sleeveless shirt on throughout it. And I'm like, oh, I should send this to Becky.
Fashion is always changing, but modern garment lengths have remained pretty constant for the last few decades, at least until now.
I should send it to her. But then I thought, she's wearing a short sleeve. She probably won't listen to her, or she'll think she's bad. As I'm trying to discuss modesty and the garment, and she was telling me how great it is that now they're sleeveless. I will go on. And what I'm going to do, because I don't know what to do, I'm just going to do what I want to do and what I think's fun and funny and what I think people might enjoy. And I hope you do. And if I get it bad and it's wrong and stupid, hey, leave me a comment. I don't really care.
I think what might help your followers here is if you just show them the TikTok, the one with the crappy sound. It explains basically how your appointment went with Becky the other day. It wasn't good. It wasn't pretty, folks.
Experience that I had yesterday with one of my friends. We were in the same ward together. We served together in primary. And it was interesting and it's great. I enjoy her because she can at least, she'll talk about church and I can push back a little bit. We can laugh. She's not afraid to tell me I'm wrong though, which is fun. But yesterday she mentioned the new garment and this woman's early 60s. And she's like, yeah, I got them. I'm like, how do you reconcile the changes with the garment? You could wear a tank top, the wider tank top. She's like, the garment was never about modesty. Let's just get that right. Weird. I guess I got that wrong. And then I was sharing how I grew up having to wear close to my knees, cover my shoulders. I could never have worn a scandalous tank top like this. How we went to Lake Powell and we could only have so many hours in our swimsuit, and then we needed to get in regular street clothes again. Basically, my mom treated it as if training us to be prepared to always wear the garment, so that it wouldn't be difficult to change. But she said, who raised you? Yeah, she did. My beautiful LDS, devoted, dedicated, bestest mom. That's who raised me. But I didn't react. I was just kind of like, what? So many things. She's like, that's not true. That's not true. And I'm like, quit making me feel like I'm crazy.
For members of the church to be dogging on other people for wanting those specific garments is crazy. I'll admit it right now. I want a pair of them.
But people that believe it doesn't matter.
Nobody knows what it's like to be I.
They do not care. It's not important. That's how Michelle Stone says it. Important.
You just can't drop Michelle Stone's name like that and then just go on. She has a YouTube channel, 132 Problems, Revisiting Mormon Polygamy. She's on the church's radar. She's maybe the next one gonna get, hope not. She's speaking her mind and she's speaking truth and she has some autonomy, and no, that doesn't go well with Mormonism.
I was a rule follower to the letter.
Of course you were a rule follower to the letter. That was how we were to do it. I think we were called faithful, believing, righteous, obedient.
Why am I mad about a seemingly good change? Because of comments like this. I'm so glad the focus of wearing the garment is back on keeping covenants. It was never about modesty. It's not changing. Originally, they went from ankles to wrist. You just described the fact that they have in fact changed. If you're wondering, this is gaslighting. Gaslighting is not simply lying about something, it is manipulating someone to believe that their entire reality is false, that your lived experience did not happen, you're crazy, you're making it up, and I am going to take that gas and start lighting fires with it.
Where are we meeting? Let me know. I'm ready to do a reenactment. Jehovah, go down unto the people on the earth and instruct them as to how to wear the garment of the holy priesthood. I will, Jehovah. I will go down. I'm ready to make one of those kind of videos. It's not even sacred. Next week, it's going to be something else. It doesn't even matter, folks. It doesn't even matter.
Now, in 2025, it reads, "In our day, the garment encourages modesty, but its significance is much deeper. If it wasn't about modesty at all, you wouldn't need to mention it. How the garment is worn is an outward expression of an inward commitment to follow the Savior." Isn't wearing them as underwear the opposite of an outward expression?
We're back to Becky. I mean, anything would work. I'm like, oh, you mean like a necklace? Like we could just wear a necklace. She's like, exactly, except for ours isn't like that.
At the end of the day, they're just people too, and they're also on their own journey.
Let's read the comments. Isn't it their choice? Thought it was their choice. Shouldn't this be a personal choice? If they are happy, then that's all that matters. Literally, it's becoming a trend. Damn, so this is literally the comment section of every single Mormon garment video. The arguments are exactly the same. It's your choice. No, it's not, you heathen. You don't understand the doctrine. No, you don't understand the doctrine.
So basically, why don't they just make them panties? She's like, well, they could. So basically, why doesn't the church just take a big leap and just make marks in panties and bras? Seems like it makes sense.
Doctrine is declared and interpreted by the president of the church and sustained by the first presidency and quorum of the 12 acting in unanimity. So when the first presidency of the church gives specific instructions in 1988 about how and why to wear a temple garment, that is doctrine. And if that changes, aka virtually disappears off of the church website and cherry-picked and not taught verbatim anymore, then the doctrine, by the definition of the church, has changed. Oh, well, she said the doctrine of Jesus Christ never changes, not the church. First Presidency Letter, October 10th, 1988. I had to search for it and I only found more portions of the letter buried in footnotes on a completely different page of the church website. I still cannot find the entire letter, and here is what more of it reads. Practices frequently observed among the members of the church suggest that some members do not fully understand the covenant they make in the temple.
Becky, here it is. You were asking who raised me? My mother, my beautiful LDS, Mormon believing, true disciple of Christ mother. And maybe she caught this memo that we're just about to read and you didn't.
To wear the garment in accordance with the spirit of the holy endowment. Members are confused about how to wear their garments because the temple instructions are unclear. Nothing new to see here, as that is still happening.
Sorry, Becky. I guess it wasn't your fault. Just don't be poking at my mom.
Thus, members should not remove either all or part of the garment. The garment must be removed, such as for swimming, it should be restored as soon as possible.
Did you hear? It should be restored as soon as possible. We were in Lake Powell, and she wanted us to put clothes on a couple of times a day so we weren't lounging and living in our swimming suits, because she wanted us to learn how to live righteously and have the garment when we got older. I hated it then. I get it now. And now maybe you get it, Becky.
some pretty strict rules about how to wear the temple garment that members followed for decades and have now been disregarded for a more personal approach to wearing it. Such individuals meaning the prophet of the church, Ezra Taft Benson, who gave those specific conditions 11 years before you said this. Did he and his two counselors and future prophets, Gordon Hinckley and Thomas Monson, miss the mark? They dishonestly credit these now outdated teachings to just random people. Who said that? We didn't say that. You're silly. Oh, it wasn't doctrine, that was just policy. But we're not done. The principles of modesty, there's that pesky word again, and keeping the body appropriately covered are implicit in the covenant and should govern the nature of all clothing worn. So modesty is implicit in the covenant you make in the temple.
And I really think that we have the opportunity now to look at things and say that I understand that there was a church is. I understand that there's a lot of trauma while we were in a very thick modesty culture.
The old people getting mad. I know. Doesn't help. I think maybe these people need to be reminded of what they have been being taught their whole life. Because this just isn't right. I don't know how they can forget so quickly the words of the holy prophets, the holy men of God, the holy men of the red velvet chairs, the holy men of the vaccination, the holy men, the holy men. Except for when they're just your average dude that gets messed up and screws up all the time.
I will play ball. The garments are actually all about Jesus and the covenants you make with him and God in the temple. I actually got into a little argument with my garment-wearing family members about this. We're good now. We love each other. Their rebuttal was that the covenants you make in the temple have not changed, even if the garment does. But it's not true. The temple covenants have also changed and do all the time.
Now, Mackenzie's going to go on to tell us exact wording in the covenant, which is changed over time quite significantly.
We will put the sisters under the covenant to obey the law of the Lord and to hearken to the counsel of her husband as her husband hearkens unto the counsel of the Father. Each of you bow your head and say yes. And if women went through the temple before 1990, they did not make a single covenant directly with God, only their husbands. Put the sisters under covenant to obey the law of their husbands. You solemnly covenant and promise before God, angels, and these witnesses at this altar that you will each observe and keep the law of your husband and abide by his counsel in righteousness. Each of you bow your head and say yes.
I did go when you had to covenant to hearken to your husband as your husband hearkens to the Lord. I knew he didn't pray to God. I knew I was the one that was talking to God. And so there were things like that that I would just let go because I figured they weren't changeable. I kind of figured that's how it had been since it had been restored to its fullness. I thought it just all had to be the same. But no one ever knows because we don't talk about the sacred things in the temple. And so things can change and no one knows.
The law of the husband's covenant, it don't exist no more. They just yoinked out a whole covenant and said nothing. I don't know how else to interpret the word covenant other than covenant. The covenants women make in the temple have changed, along with many other things that are quite disturbing.
The only people that know are the people that went before. Usually it's something that is beneficial. They're just so happy that it's not creepy and weird and scary and so absolutely not anything like what they've been taught their entire lives that they just go ahead and keep quiet and let things move on. But I will say, and it helps it feel more like actually what you learn at church rather than this whole new weird culty thing. That's great. But what I have a problem with is everyone acting like it can really happen. That is gaslighting. That is not okay. That's what needs to change.
Here's kind of what happens. The world is here.
Church is so good at making things kind of disappear and go away. This is one of those that I'm pretty shocked they have not disappeared at it.
And we're more conservative here, and we're not going to do what the world does. As the world progresses, cultures change. They go here, and then we go here. And then they go here, and we go here. And
it's pretty bad. I mean, it's super honest.
And before long, you look up, and we're perilously close where we would never have thought to be before. So I've said too much.
Yep, you did. Not so much honesty in one talk. Doesn't he remind you of one of the like, yep, 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 those puppets on like Sesame Street?
I'm not criticizing the church for changing. I'm criticizing them for being against that change in the first place. When I was growing up in the church, tattoos, double pierced ears, watching rated R movies, and drinking caffeine were all big no-nos.
This was the church, folks. I'm glad it's changed. I'm glad that it's better for you all. Hip hip hooray. I hope you get the panty garments. But stop telling us that it wasn't what it was when we lived it. So the church isn't perfect and people aren't perfect and the prophet isn't perfect, and so I don't know why we need a prophet at all. I think you're getting to me. Those were just some, policies, some policy errors.
Policy is the application of doctrine based on circumstances, and both of those things come from God and His prophets. So God directs the policy that is created and continually changes it. Got no accountability, no apologies, nothing. And that's why people are upset.
That's why I don't really wear underwear anymore. I was always so used to those loose, flappy garments, and now I could wear whatever underwear I want, and I choose none. Like my religion and my faith, I choose none. Myth, fantasy, culture, okay. But strict religion, forget it. And any of y'all with the whole high demand religion, I got something to say about that. Because I think you wear it as a badge of honor, when in reality you just need to know that it is what will cause your pain and sorrow in the future when you finally realize this is all just kind of made up and it crushes your soul and breaks your heart into a million pieces. I just want to know, how is the only church, the only one that has the power to act in God's name on earth, that the Book of Mormon and the church itself was restored to its fullness by the gift and power of God, but God can't get it right? Or the prophets or the people he's speaking with can't understand him clearly or can't follow his directive.
And so the antis that are all like, bleh, garments,
Get a
right?
hobby. Get a new job.
Yep, exactly. Like, these garments
Find
are
something
ours.
productive to do.
Yeah. Like, I feel like I can talk about the garments because I'm a member of this church. And I'm actively going through this, right? If you've left our church, you don't get to talk about it.
Ex-Mormon women, they are grieving this loss of their identity, their history, and their personal story. And it may not seem that deep to you, but that's okay. I would expect nothing less.
I'm sorry the audio on here has been so sucky. I had no time to dilly-dally with the mic. I'm eating egg bites. They're super yummy. But yeah, and you can also tell the sun's setting. Even without being careful about the sound and the quality, making these for old ladies like myself still takes like all day. And I'm really glad and super excited and very, very grateful when anybody lets me know that they've watched it, that it's helped them, that they feel heard, just anything. So pretty please like, subscribe, let me know that you liked it. And if you don't, and if you disagree with anything I said here, I welcome that too. I really like the pushback, and I want engagement. I want there to be less angst and frustration between all of us. And that just requires more honesty and willingness to sit in the discomfort and feel that tug as we're trying to work it out. But it's possible, and I'm all here for it. So love ya. Bye.